smells like a fire. It sounds like a fart. That'll be the motto. PSI is actually at 40. That's low. I think it's. So it runs. It's not the first time running. It's probably about the fifth or sixth time. But now we have an actual full exhaust, which is pretty much straight pipe. It's more of a rushing thing just because we're trying to make it to Button Willow on Sunday and it is Thursday. So later we're gonna redo it. Fuel leak a little bit on one of the O-rings on the injector. Probably was not happy, so we're gonna check that. Once that's good to go, we're gonna finish running coolant lines. See, we already cut some pieces to length. We have one pipe here for the bottom. Just routing it, clamping it down, binding up, bleed the brakes, and then it should be ready for its first test drive. Exciting. Gonna tune with 412 Motorsports, alignment at 714. Just quick adjust toe and let it go, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so obviously it's kind of a temporary setup. We're basically just trying to get it up and running as fast as possible, get some mileage underneath it, and take it to the event. So the muffler will be changed, and there's a couple of parts that were like, okay, it's in the works or something like that. But the most important thing is that we put some mileage underneath the car, because we don't even know if we're actually tackling the right problems. Instead of over-engineering stuff like that, we're basically gonna we gotta get some mileage underneath it. So the muffler will be changed, headers, some orientation of the motor possibly. And either way, we have the other 2 or 3 motors. So after this event, we'll know what we gotta adjust and try it again. But at least getting it out there is gonna be one of the most important things. And we're just trying as we go. One of the things that we did is, with all the switches in the car, we don't actually have something to mount it to. So with our new 3D printer, we ended up making a temporary prototype of the actual original HVAC panel. So it's pretty close to it. And this was done on the lower end 3D printer, not our higher end one. But this would be something we'd be guilt-free to just pop holes in it, drill, whatever we need to do to put gauges and switches. So pretty cool concept. If it's pretty successful and a lot of people are interested in it, it's probably one of those things where we'll eventually get pressure injected. But for us right now, it's a matter of just like, we need something to see switches and something. Right now it's like chilling in the glove box, which is cool, but probably not gonna pass tech, probably. All right, so a lot of progress over the last 24 hours. I'm more awake now than earlier. Finally took a rest, but this is what I basically stayed overnight to get done, and it's a relocation prototype for the power steering pump tensioner. I made a thing. That's the thing. Basically, what that does is relocates the power steering from up the top, right in the way of the intake, to the bottom. It also acts as a tensioner, so that way we can then basically tension it from down here. And what it basically effectively does is make it a really efficient cost-wise, space-wise, and just makes the whole swap considerably easier by relocating that power steering a little bit lower. It actually puts it back in the E30 factory location as well. So basically rushed it out, made it magically exist in 24 hours, a very rough prototype. And now that it's there, the next step will be crashing a CNC. Stand by.
CNC. Now we're
on the toilet. Right, so now we're at the point that we've got all of the pulley where the tension is going to be and all that. Now it's a matter of making custom lines. So we're going to go to a local shop in the area. We'll jump in the little E30 that could, and what they're going to do is basically press and make high pressure lines, converting Honda to AN fittings to BMW banjo fittings basically. We're hoping they can get it done in the same day. That will take care of the front pulley system and a lot of the complication. I mean, this is that was the big hurdle, that was the important part where I had to stay overnight and get it done. Just one of those things didn't exist. We're not going. The good news is it exists, it passes Tito's test. So we're gonna put it to the test. So we're gonna bring some track spares, different variations, and see what we can change and tweak. So that takes care of the belt side. After that, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do the wiring. And before we get to the wiring though, just to clarify why that intake manifold configuration needs to change in a rear wheel drive conversion. These are front wheel drive motors, so the intake manifolds actually face a totally different way that just won't work in the conversion for rear wheel drive. They face down, there's the throttle body, everything is just the wrong way. So that's why we have to convert it. Now, there is people who make the cast, manifolds. They are a little bit more expensive, but they do bolt on. This was a cheaper way of doing it. And then you can use an S2000 intake, which happens to face the right way. There's a conversion plate that you can buy, and then it basically gets it to face exactly where you would need it to in a rear-wheel drive configuration, and for a third of the price. So that's why that's so important. And we'll have a little bit more details on that a little bit later. But that's some witchcraft that makes this affordable, just like the TLDR. All right, so for the wiring, it's not gonna be too bad. If you've ever wired an E30 for a motor swap, you basically work off a C101 plug. It's basically about 20 wires that will control everything from the starter, the unloader relay, the tach, all that stuff. So we're gonna basically be wiring the C101 to play well with our Infinity AEM system. Now, we're gonna basically have the stock BMW DME mount, and this is very similar. We're basically gonna try to work off this to actually mount the Infinity with the USB logger and the wiring and all that. It is actually a pretty nice system. We're gonna try to utilize as much as possible instead of trying to make something custom. That being said, although the BMW cluster is all super nice and E30 Dad rebuilt the cluster with a whole 9,000 RPM, redline and all that, flashback to when that is. So I wanted to see which ones you guys liked better. We're gonna get a couple of these, for giveaways, stuff like that, always getting requests for hats and swag and other cool shit. Yep.
Hey, you guys want to see the K cluster?
Absolutely. Yes. Let's do it. Derek, cut. Watch me stretch the lens. So we had E30 Dad make us a custom cluster. That's what his line of work is. E30 Dad is the name.
Dad.
And yeah, thanks, Dad. Basically, the tach and a couple things are customized specifically for our K car build. So he was nice enough to do that, and we're gonna start hopefully offering these combinations and.
Nicely wrapped.
Oh,
Damn. Can you show the camera?
God damn. No. Wow. That's crazy. He's got a little inspection sticker and. Oh, this was originally the Pandem's cluster. Pretty cool. Sweeps all the way to bazillion.
Too. No,
And yeah, he used Garagistic odometer gears. So, just for the record. Look at that. Press it and be stress free. Wow. He killed it with that.
Yeah, so these lights here that usually tell you your oil change, service oil light, it actually lights up according to the tech. So as the higher you go, the more green, and then at yellow is like shift dumb ass, and then like at red is like you're idiot, you should really shift now. Yeah.
That said though, we're still gonna go with VDO reliable gauges. So this is the Garagistic gauge cluster. Are you getting that? You're getting that? Hey, Tito? Jesus? Help!
That'll get him.
Oh, good. No. I just wanted to see if someone would come. If someone can tell Zeus to not use the air, please. I'm saved. They came. We're okay. That was terrible. Like, now when I really need help, I'm fucked. Okay. So, although those gauges are awesome, we did want something reliable, a little bit more, accurate and a lot more data. So what we did is we mounted video gauges to the Garagistic gauge pod. So this is available on our website. It's really handy. Video is really well known for being very reliable, and this was very, period correct for it. So, we really like these gauges. But what we have here is a lot of the oiling stuff. So being that it's a K-swap, and the motor's facing a different way, oiling seems to be a real concern. So we want to keep our eye on it. So we have oil pressure and oil temperature, and we also have a water temperature. It's just another backup. That way when we can see it, on the cluster, but we also can see it on the gauges. So the easiest way to wire these is you just can buy some universal pigtails. They're available at most electronic stores, and you basically just cut these and then you can splice them. So it's pretty handy, especially if you don't know how to crimp. Super reliable, super handy, clean, color coordinated, works out really well. So that will help. Now, being that the oiling is a concern, we also have a warning light. That's this guy right here. So very simple. If the oil pressure goes lower than 20 psi, a light comes on in the dash to get the driver's awareness. So figured with these kind of things, we'll at least have enough awareness of what's going on during testing. Button willow is a pretty elevating change track, so oil starvation can be a common issue on regular race cars, let alone a K-swap. So hopefully these will help. Now, keeping with the electronics, the AEM Infinity is incredibly intelligent if it has the senders and sensors in the correct spots. So we bought the AEM universal senders, and they can be used for oil, coolant, pressure, to calibrate the DME and do tuning and all of that. So we will have to wire these, so that will allow the AEM and the tuner to do their job. So that will be one of those things. We did get a lightweight battery out of our older race cars, save a little bit of weight, and we will be taking this time to also wire in a communication radio system just like our other cars, so that way the driver can communicate back and forth. So while we're on the subject of electronics, all these things will be happening. Hopefully they'll come when I say help now that I've tested that theory on this, so let's see. Lastly, but just as important, is the final components of our cooling system. So Summit Racing came and we did order an arrangement of parts that will get the last remaining connectors done with all of the cooling system. It's a matter of just the silicone hoses. They're wonderful. You rarely have to replace them again unless something else happens. So between those and some metal ends, we'll be able to get some of those going, because we are trying to drive the car tomorrow to alignment, and hopefully the tuners come through sometime before then, so we'll see. So we've been getting a lot of comments recently asking how we're able to actually make some of these parts when I stay overnight like this, and make something exist from a concept to fixture to machine part in 24 hours or less. It's in this room. This is my favorite room. So it's the 3D printing room, and it's awesome. It's magic in here. But basically, using the printer, so for example, the throttle cable, what we end up doing is we use our Stratus 3D printer. This is a Connex 260. It's a wonderful machine. It is very expensive to run, but it is precise enough to be able to make molds and make prototypes and even fixtures to hold on the parts on the CNC as we machine them. It's really pushing the capabilities of this machine, but it does really well. So here's an example of us refining a 3D print of a throttle cable off the K-swap. And we basically do a couple variations of them. So here was like a very first basic variation of it, and then here is the second variation of it, and we keep tweaking it until it's 100% perfect. This printer is so precise that these tolerances are within a couple thou. So basically what our machines are hitting, so is the printer. So once we get the perfect setup, it's almost like we're not even experimenting anymore when it actually hits the machine. We then take it a step further. As we program this, we also need a way of holding it on the machine. That's what a fixture is. So what we'll then do is print a fixture. That's what this purple part would have been, which is basically a fancy way of word of saying how we hold something on the CNC. So for example, on one of our 3-axis machines, we're able to then do this part because we can then machine this on the CNC, and then we then need to rotate the part to actually pop a hole in it for the actual throttle. Well, that's where this fixture comes in. So it ends up going like this. So this is an example of a fixture that came off the machine. So it is basically a very accurate 3D print, and it's a way of holding the part on the machine. And basically what we do is we press in dowels and other metal parts into this to make it incredibly strong. That way, when it sees the forces of the CNC, it could actually withstand an actual initial run. Now, once it survives, we can then make a metal or aluminum fixture. But basically, it would go a matter of like this. If this is the part that we're trying to machine, this is a throttle cable. This mounts onto the intake. This is where the throttle cable would go through. We can machine all of this on a 3-axis machine, but then we have to kind of flip it and hold it like that so we can pop a hole on this side. So that's where this would come in. This is bolts to the machine. This would then go onto here like that. We use some very accurate shoulder bolts, which would then register the part. And the printer is printing threads and everything like that, but sometimes if we need more, we'll actually insert a bolt or a nut on the back end of it. And basically the operator would then tighten these down, and then you could basically have an ability to then come in and the machine would just drill and pop that hole. This would usually take probably a day to do an experiment. The printer is working on the back half while we're doing the first operation. That's how things are able to come out in 24 hours. Super powerful. Additive machining and printing, they're really, you know, changing the way things are being manufactured. Hopefully that answers anybody's question, but if you guys have any more questions, put them in the comments below. All right, let's do it. Hopefully it doesn't leak in here, that would suck. It's the little E30 that could. Our camera car, daily driver, parts runner, E30 that could. So we're heading over to Mesa Hose in Costa Mesa. Long time place we've been going to, old school place, but they get it done. They know everything about hoses and fittings, and they can crimp lines on the spot. They're pretty awesome. So we're hoping they'll be the guys that can get it done today for us. So it's not too bad, probably a 15-minute drive. And as soon as we get back, I gotta start on wiring. So in the meantime, Tito is finishing up bleeding the boosterless brake setup on that car, and that will be the last step to getting it off of the lift. So, and the wiring is for the most part done. It's just a matter of, you know, like I was showing you guys, adding the accessories to it, cleaning it up, stuff like that. So we're really hoping for a test drive by the end of the day. So we're all really excited. It's possible. So you could probably take to all of the times I've said that before, but I can feel it this time. I can feel it today. It didn't leak. That's good news. All right, let's get it done. What's going on?
What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Very good.
Ready for more weirdness?
From you? Yeah.
Always.
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 What do you got? You can't scare me.
I know I can't. I know I can't. That's why I come. We're trying to get a line. It's a high pressure line. So we did this contraption. Basically, it goes from Honda weirdness to BMW weirdness. Like we put like an inch slack. So.
Okay. I can cut and weld on this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as long as I can do that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be big. Is that the high side?
Yes.
Okay.
I always come here for my weirdest shit. So he knows me as the weird guy. So I'll take it. Is it possible to wait? I mean, how busy, or I mean, what are you thinking?
I'd say maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay. All
We
right,
can do it today. That's no big deal. It's just one weld.
Perfect. Yeah, I can come back. And then so basically you would just have the line crimped and.
Yeah, basically just do it like this long from here to here, you know?
Perfect. Okay.
It'll be done, and you can go put it back on
Be a
this
lifesaver.
afternoon or whatever.
Yeah. We had an event this weekend. It's a perfect lifesaver.
Yeah.
Cool. That was easy. That's why I love these guys. Super old school. They get it done no matter what weirdness I bring it in. And I always bring weirdness. You can't beat that. A custom crimped line going from Honda to BMW in an hour. I mean, that's amazing. You know, me and Derek are gonna go grab a drink right now and come back and it will be done. So I love that kind of work. I wish it was like that all the time. I really love this shifter. Even in traffic, it's just so nice to shift with it. We're running the Supreme shifter in this one of our top selling products, but it's just so crisp and nice. Makes traffic enjoyable somehow. It's amazing. Nice little click. Ah, maybe that's just me. Figure it out. Mesa hose. Saves the day again. So we're back with our hose. Pulled a miracle with the hose. Tito and Ryu were bleeding the clutch slave, and they heard a pop in the transmission. The throwout bearing may be the wrong size, and it actually popped the slave because we need to machine a different size spacer for the throwout bearing, and that's buried in the bowels of the transmission. So it is now 5:20. I don't know. So he's gonna start dropping the trans. I'm still gonna stick to the plan. We'll still do the wiring. We got the power steering. I've never done 3 days in a row, but
Don't do it.
I know.
Well, I mean, we've done 40 plus hours.
We have done
So-
40 plus hours, yeah. Don't endorse it. Definitely don't do it. You have to be a professional and have a health safety crew on deck, which we do. He's right there. He's right there, yeah. See, so in a professional environment. So tomorrow, the tuner. So that's why we have to stay tonight, because Sam agreed to take the car, but he would have to get it early in the morning. We're waiting for a phone call on him. He's gonna let us know what time, but regardless, that means the car has to be on the trailer today, and he's gonna have it all day on Friday. The event is on Sunday, so that kind of means that this is kind of our only shot to.
Saturday, 6 p.m.
Yeah. Hence the push for 3 days. So still looking good. We've been in worse situations. You know, we've had more ambitious tasks to do with less time. So.
But did they work?
Have we? You ready to get to work?
Yeah, ready?
Good. You're not gonna go to work. We need your help. This is after hours, so that your orders are still gonna ship on time, just for the record. So, yeah, we need help. But we need a plastic Delrin piece to plug something up. It's on the other car, but basically it needs to fit in here. But if it's too tight, it will break this. So what Tito wants to do is he wants to make a plug with an O-ring,
No problem.
and he's gonna basically get a clamp and clamp it.
Clamp it.
Yeah, so that one's an easy piece of Delrin, piece of scrap. We're
Yes.
good to go. That will fix the coolant leak. It's that adjustable end link, and then one of the headers, when they put the bolt on it, very easy. Put it on the manual mill, enlarge the hole.
No problem.
So that's it. But that would save us a lot of time.
Fine.
So please,
Easy.
easy peasy.
Yep.
So although that's not promising, we did at least successfully do the hard part, we thought, of the power steering relocation. So the brackets work wonderful, and now we got the custom line. So basically works a little something like this. You know, obviously the production model would be a better finish, but for 24 hours turnaround time, it's fantastic. It's basically bolted from the top, rotates from the bottom, which also works as a tensioner. Very like the original BMW setup. And then bolt goes through. Came out pretty cool. Put the belt over, just like that. Then when you come to tighten it all, again, we're just experimenting with some of the hardware that we have here. You know, we still have to engineer the rest of the bracket, so just like that. And then basically when you come to pry on it, that's what adds the tension, just like that. And then you torque it all down. Then our beautiful line came out. So basically we had Mesa hose, I think they either brazed it or welded this fitting on ours. It's kind of a freak material. And coming out at the right angle, high pressure line, just like that. And as you can kind of tell, it kind of goes where the E36 rack would, or the E30 or E36 rack would be, and goes very similar to something like this. And these rotate, but this basically goes to the metric side on BMW, the M14 or M16. That's all it is though, just like that. So at least we got that done, so that's super high note. So we're gonna strap GoPros so you guys can see what we do through the night and burn the midnight oil. So hopefully next time you guys see it, we'll be trackside. Stay tuned.